Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing? It is Sunday, the 4th of July, 2021. To our American people, happy Independence Day. How is everybody? How are you all doing? We're here back in the podding shed. I came out here to escape the wife tonight. I've upset her. By bringing mud through the house again. This is what happens when you garden, isn't it? It's certainly a messy business. And she just had a pop at me about it, so bless her. But she was out helping me yesterday in the garden. She was helping me remove all the weeds from our driveway, prune some hedges. We've been very, very busy with that. And getting a lot done. Today I went down the allotment and also done quite a bit, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Let's see if we've got anybody out there who has joined this. Oh, crikey, yeah, a lot of people have joined. So we've got Philly SPB, good evening to you. Ballycillian, good evening to you. And Oracle, good evening to you. Hello, everyone. And Richard is saying, Turbo Stream, good evening. Veg Grower Army, good evening to you. Who else have we got? A lot of conversation going on. Ian Beddoes has joined. Evening, everyone. Guess what? I'm in rain again in Manchester. I'll get into that in just a moment, actually. Manon Visor has joined. Good evening to you. We've got a video coming up from Manon a little bit later on. Who else have we got? Hargrave Gas. Good evening, everyone. What strange weather we are having. Yeah. Everyone's a lot of discussion on the weather. I can see that's going to happen a lot. And Amanda Joy. Oh dear, Richard. I hope Amanda hasn't locked you out for when you try and get back in tonight. No, she hasn't locked me out. She's just a little bit annoyed with me, quite rightly as well. My own fault. I don't take my shoes off when I go in the house, and naturally that leads to mud going everywhere, but she'll be all right. She'll be all right in the end. Digwell has joined. Good evening. I'm here, but I haven't said anything yet. Well, lovely to see you anyway. And my dad's joined. Good evening. What mud indoors, poor Amanda? It does not help when it's wet. Well, that's what I say. It doesn't help when it's wet, but it doesn't seem to go very well. And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Farah Singh, I think, is saying poip. I have no idea what that means, so I hope I pronounced that correctly. So, as always, I'd like to start off with what I've been up to throughout this week, and it's been interesting weather-wise. I haven't been able to get down the allotment during the week because it's rained in the evenings, or if it hasn't rained, it's been a little bit poor weather. And work, I was talking to Nigel the other day, work at the moment is mental. I'm lucky if I'm home before 8 o'clock, which doesn't leave me much time in the evening. But yesterday during the week I brought myself a new hedge trimmer. As you know, if you listen to the podcast, I'm sticking with these Ryobi battery powered tools, and I brought myself the hedge trimmer to really add to that tool. And I'm getting rid of my petrol and my electric hedge trimmers. Used it for the first time yesterday. Absolutely fantastic piece of kit. So much easier to start than petrol. But of course, that all meant that we had a lot of trimmings, which we had to run over with the lawnmower and then throw into our compost bins and make some compost. We've also had to shred down this buddleia that has appeared in our garden that we keep cutting down and got to try and get rid of. I don't mind buddleia, but it puts a lot of plants or seeds out everywhere else. Today I went down the allotment and I've mulched one of my empty beds, and I've planted into one of the beds a lot of little tomato plants that I seem to have left over. Now, if anybody has heard James Wong live in one of his talks, you hear him mention a way of gardening or growing tomatoes where you just put the tomato in the ground, let it grow to one truss, and then prune it so it only grows one truss of tomatoes. And this is meant to grow some really big tomatoes, but small plants, and only that one truss. Because I had the room, I figured I'm going to give it a try, and I've just thrown loads of tomatoes. You can grow them in a smaller space or pop them in closer together, growing them this way. But I thought I'll give it a try and just see if that actually works. And then I've harvested my garlic. My garlic's not done too bad. And trimming and usual sort of thing. So that's what I've been up to this week. What's everyone else been up to? Now, I should say we've got a lot of stuff coming up today. The thing I'm going to ask as the main question, or the question going on through, is what are you sowing for your winter crops now? I should say phone lines are open. I haven't done a label for the question, but what are you sowing for your winter crops now? This is a question that I've had come in from Amanda, especially with a polytunnel or a greenhouse, so you can keep crops going throughout the winter. But let's have a quick look at the comments and see what everyone else is up to or has been doing throughout this week. Adrian has joined. Good evening to you. Andrew Norris has joined all the way from Croatia. Good evening to you. Nigel, Muddy Boots, good evening all. Raining again in West Midlands. It seems that rain is the big factor at the moment. We had a lot of rain come down overnight, actually. And it's... I'm quite glad for it because it fills up my water bats and also saves me a job for watering the garden. However, Ballycillian is saying there's still no rain there. Never seen it so dry. So we seem to be getting it all for Ireland. Richard Lewis, hello, hope you are well. Evening all, beautiful day here in South Devon. Funny enough, I've got a video coming up from that very area. Stuart Jackson, sorry I'm late. Roast chicken came first. I think that's another reason that Amanda's a bit annoyed with me, actually. I got a chicken out the freezer last night to defrost for our dinner, and it didn't defrost in time, so we haven't been able to have our planned dinner. Now, Andrew Norris has got a question. Here's a question. I water in the evening, but I was told it's better in the morning. Any thoughts? I tend to water in the evening as well, but the whole idea of watering in the evening is I feel if it's warm, it gives the plants a chance to drink overnight and have a good drink and absorb it throughout the day. Water in the morning, it can still evaporate, but either or are preferred than during it, or watering during the day is my opinions. Digwell has had it on and off all day with the rain. Yeah. And just missing that. And he's gone on to say cabbage, collie, sprouts a bit early for anything else. So there, cabbage, collie, and sprouts, the few things that we can plant. I'm not so sure about sowing sprouts at this time of year, but if it works, let me know. Stuart Jackson has been pricking out lettuce, planting squash, leeks, and sown carrots, radish, beetroot, but rain stopped play for me. Yeah. I mean, I put on a jacket and try and make the most of the rain, but it is annoying. Hayley Davis, hello, hope you are well. James Wong's book, Grow for Flavour, is a very interesting. He suggests stressing the plants with drought and salt water as well to boost the flavour. I think he also suggested in that book adding some aspirin to tomatoes as well when we water the tomatoes. That's meant to do something as well. Ian Beddoes is saying he's not got any room in the greenhouse. Peas, cucumber, tomatoes and lettuce are filling it up. Yeah, definitely is the time for that. Muddy Boots is also saying winter brassicas, cabbage and cauliflowers is certainly a good thing to sow right now. Just have a swig of that. If anybody's wondering, the question that I'm asking at the moment is, what are you sowing now for winter veg? And Muddy Boots and Knight and Digwell have both said winter brassicas, cabbages, and cauliflowers. Richard Golding has joined. Hello to you. Hope you are well. Turbo Stream, not really thought about winter crops. We'll try broad beans for green manure this year and pinching out the shoots to steam. The question that came in from Adrian about whether to water in the evening or night. Digwell has said if you have a slug problem, then water in the morning. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. We've got a slug problem, you water in the evening, it's going to be much more the conditions that they prefer. Personally, I don't have a slug problem, but that's very lucky for me, which is probably why I water in the evening more. Ballysillian, unfortunately, I work 6 days a week, so in winter, go and come home in the dark, and my allotment is miles from my home, so just close it down over winter. I always think, you know, I think many of us work throughout the winter, and going to the allotment in the evening isn't possible throughout the winter months, but there's still the weekend, and I find the winter months are perhaps the better time to sow or to grow a lot of stuff. Okay, not so much grows, but you've got less pests, you've got less problems and less chance or less need for watering. And I think that's why I do tend to try and grow. For me as well, I get more time over the winter. And that's why I continually try and grow throughout all year round. I will grow cabbages, cauliflowers, Chinese or oriental vegetables such as Chinese cabbages, pak choi, winter lettuce, even some carrots and broad beans, and just to name a few that I tend to grow throughout the winter. And Turbo Stream's also added undercover corn salad. That's another good one to grow. And I think we can sow that now, but I know we can also sow it later on in the year. Graham Arnold has joined and is saying we need some of the rain. Hardly had a drop southeast. Well, I'm in the southeast and I've had loads of rain, so which is quite unusual for this area because we are in one of the areas that get the most amount of sunlight anywhere in the UK. Aspirin in tomato water is to help prevent blossom end rot. Yeah, it was something that James Wong suggested, and I didn't know it was for blossom end rot. I've never tried it myself, but again, I've never really had a problem with blossom end rot. Actually, that's not true. Occasionally I do, but I find it works itself out. Ernie is asking, Richard, did you get the video? I did. And you know what? It's 1:15, so let's get the first video under... let's see the first video.
Hi Richard, at last a video for you we've been waiting for months regarding the ground elder situation. Well, it's just growing and growing and we can't really handle it much, but we will master it and kill them all eventually. As you can see, it's all around here, and very prolific, and we will, well, I've got some help here. Lorraine's gone on holiday, but I've got some help who is willing to get his hands dirty. So I'll show you who he is, and he'll do his most utmost best. Okay. Okay, Richard, you know what to do.
Yes, so it's the ground order you want pulled out.
Right, okay.
There's not too much, is there?
No.
How much of it do I pull out?
Oh, from what you can see, half an acre.
Righto. Half an acre?
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so much, Ernie.
Yeah, you can eat them as well.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, salad.
Yeah. Tasty. I'm working on it. There's loads and loads of it here. Just lots.
It's nice when you can get someone to do the work for you, isn't it, Richard? Cheers.
So there we go. That was Ernie's video with Mr. Vobes doing the work, as he certainly should. He certainly doesn't work like that when he comes down on my allotment. Yeah, lovely video. I've got to say, that is a lot of ground elder for you to deal with. That I know you've said in the past, Ernie, that you have a lot of ground elder, but that was a lot I could see in that video. But keep at it, keep removing it, and I'm sure you will get there. So back to the subject. While I remember as well, if you want to zap yourself in and appear on screen, the link hopefully is appearing. It seems like a very long link for some reason. Somebody at my front door. Seems like a very long. Let me just check. That is this. Yeah, it is the same one. If you want to zap yourself in, click the link in the comments and appear on screen with myself, or you can call in on 07307 135 174. We're coming back to the subject, what we can sow now to get us through the winter months. And Turbo Stream is, and I tend to grow things that will freeze or can stay in the ground till ready for harvest. Parsnips, sprouts. Yeah, parsnips, sprouts, leeks. They're another good one that can stay in the ground ready and throughout the winter. Kale is probably another one as well. I'm trying to think of any others. I'm sticking in terms of sowing: cabbages, cauliflowers, oriental vegetables, corn salad. The winter lettuce won't be quite ready yet, or won't be sowing yet, but in a few months' time, we will be sowing that. What else have we got? Graham Arnold is saying a nice focaccia recipe to Digwell green fingers. Don't talk about food. I'm starving. No, please do talk about food, actually. I've got no cooking coming up today because I've got so many videos, which is great. I've got some really good ones as well. They're all good. All the videos I get are great. Turbo Stream is saying, about time Vobes did some graft. I know he never does work like that when he comes down to my allotment. He just sticks a camera in my face and that's it. Try and get him to do some weeding or anything like that. No. Ballycillian, I found that overwintering onions, broad beans, etc. harvested poorly compared to the spring planted crops. Just get the pH in my various beds correct over winter for spring plantings. Yeah, I mean, that I do tend to sow overwintered broad beans purely because I like seeing stuff growing in the allotment or in the beds at home over winter. So therefore I tend to sow overwintered broad beans, overwintering onions. But the spring sown onions definitely do last better. And broad beans, you're only really saving yourself about 2 weeks, or they come in about 2 weeks earlier. So it's not a huge amount. We discussed this last week. I'll still do it, and I will still continue doing it because it just works for me. And also, I guess another thing that I like is that when I have less time or more time available to do those sort of things, such as in the autumn, winter, I'm not wasting my time, or come the summertime when I'm busier, or the spring summertime when I'm much busier, I haven't got to worry about sowing broad beans because I know they're already there. Excuse me. What else have we got? Andrew Norris is saying, excellent vid, Ernie, and such a charming garden. Don't think the living sculpture quite works though. Yeah, I've got to say that was a lovely garden. I was listening on a video today about your garden and heard it's part of a school or an old school. So yeah, you got your work cut out for you there, but it looks absolutely beautiful already. Got to say, it looks fantastic. Nui99 has joined. Hello, hope you are well. I'll be planting after I've tamed over the overgrown veg patch with grass and weeds up to my waist. You know what? I think that's probably because I know you've just moved to Cornwall. I got to say, I do think at this time of year, you're much better just trying to get on top of all the weeds before trying to grow anything. Even if you just start in a small area, get on top of the weeds, get it ready to plant, and then get it planting. But for now, yeah, concentrate on clearing out the weeds, getting some sort of structure in place. That's the other thing I like to do over winter, actually, is concentrate on what I call the infrastructure works, getting the beds built, getting the paths built. Feels weird talking about winter when we are in the middle of summer, doesn't it? But the thing I always say, gardening is all about planning ahead. You know, winter, it's not that long away now. And if we want crops throughout the winter, we need to plan now and get those sown. And that's what I always say. And that's why, yeah, we might be in the middle of summer, early summer, really. But here we are talking about what we can grow over winter or throughout the winter. Adrian's saying he didn't know you could eat ground alder. I didn't know that either. So that's quite actually. No, I do. Something going in the back of my head here. They're saying I heard it on Gardener's Question Time or somewhere. But yeah, apparently you can eat ground elder. I don't know what it tastes like or if it's any good. I'll have to ask Babes and see what he said. TurboStream, is it the correct time to sow onion seeds for overwintering? I might try it after this year's disaster. Generally speaking, if you're going to sow overwintering onions from seed, you want to wait till August before you sow them. So that's only next month. I suppose you could do it now, but yes, I've not had much luck doing it that way, if I'm honest. Again, I much prefer sets in some ways because I just find them quicker and easier. Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted. My young whippersnapper, the nights are drawing in. They are indeed drawing in. And this is why often my wife used to get annoyed with me when I was would say to her, 21st of June, it's going to get darker from now on. Yeah, nights are drawing in and getting less and less daylight, but we've still got the warmth about. And this is why I say it's worth thinking now about winter. What else have we got? Laura W has joined. Good evening, everyone. Sorry to join so late. Not a problem. Lovely to see you. Graham Arnold has sowed some Autumn King carrots today in a polytunnel and raised bed. Hopefully get some good ones for autumn and winter. That reminds me, yesterday I did thin out some of my carrots and parsnips from the Christmas dinner bed. They're all actually going really, really well, but I took those thin-ins down to the allotment and replanted them. I did that last year and it worked, so I'm going to be interested to see if it does work again. Beatrice has joined. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. We are talking about what you're sowing now to get you through the winter months in terms of food. Ballycillian is saying, TurboStream, I would sow my onions in a windowsill propagator at home on Boxing Day. But TurboStream has replied, I tried that but came up with nothing. I re-sowed in April. How did your onions that were sown in April fare? That's saying, because I always thought that would be a little bit too late to sow your onions. So, yeah, lots of conversation going on. It's fantastic to see and lovely to see you all out there and joining in. What have I sowing this? Well, I'm sowing this month. I'm going to be sowing. Oh, yeah, that's the point. Some other things to sow for the winter months. Herbs. Don't forget herbs. Parsley, coriander, basil you could sow and keep it indoors, but parsley and coriander, I find I get much better sowings or much better growth when I grow it over winter. So I've sown some parsley and coriander just the other day. They can go in the greenhouse or the or a polytunnel later on in the year if you want to get them through the winter, of course. But they also do pretty well outside where I am on the south coast. So don't forget herbs. Don't forget herbs is what I'm trying to say. Parsley, coriander. What else is there? Lots of things like that. Then, thinking about it, there's some carrots that can be sown now. They may not get you through the winter. They may not be winter crops, thinking about it, but you can sow them now. And if you go for some of the good ones that's in a polytunnel or in a pot that you can move into the polytunnel, might just buy you a little bit longer in terms of keeping them going. Where were we? Turbo Stream, you will see my onions in my video. The red sets went to seed, hoping the white ones will bulb up. Yes, we've got a video from Turbo Stream coming up. I'll tell you what, we'll do that in just a moment. Nigel said that. Has anyone else had good results? Somebody phoning me. Has anyone else had good results with their strawberries? The warm weather has produced such lush, large and flavour-packed fruits in our garden. I've had fantastic results with strawberries. In fact, I picked some earlier today and they didn't make it home from the allotment. They were the best strawberries I've eaten in a long time because they were just full of a lot of such sweet flavour. This year, strawberries seem to be doing well, but cherries as well also seem to be doing well. Is it me? I'm slow. It looks like I'm slightly buffering, aren't I? Not to worry, it'll catch up, I hope. I think it's just because somebody tried ringing me on the phone. Amanda is saying, are there any varieties of peas that do well over winter? Yes. There will be Meteor. That's a good one. And I can't remember the other one that I find do well off the top of my head. We'll put that out there. If anyone else has a good variety of pea that will grow over winter, then let us know in the comments. Now, Amanda is a member of my supporters club. So, of course, when it's the right month to sow overwintering peas, there will be a variety, a packet of pea seeds in that monthly gift pack for that. What else have we got? Turbo Stream saying my home strawberries were good, but the allotment ones were useless. Yeah. Bally City is saying red onions just can't grow from sets. They always run to seed. I always find white onions are better performing than red onions, but my wife prefers red onions for some reason. Graham Arnold, yes, Nigel, great year for strawberries. Yeah, I'm having a great year for strawberries. And Manon is saying the squirrels have eaten my strawberries. Yeah, I've got a little picture of that coming up in just a moment, or a bit later on. Somebody in the Facebook group is saying that sounds good. Unfortunately, if you're in a Facebook group, I can't see who you are, so please just let us know. Yeah, and whoever it is has gone on. I mean, your monthly pack, I didn't know you did one. Yes, it's for the supporters club on the veggrowpodcast.co.uk. I charge £5 a month, and it helps me keep the podcast going and encourage more people to grow their own food. Oh, it's Rebecca. Lovely to see you, Rebecca. It's available on the veggrowpodcast.co.uk. And each month I send out at least 6 packets of seeds, little gift letter, and you get extra behind the scenes podcast. Don't normally talk about it on here, but the questions came up, so I thought I'll mention it. So do Duce Province for overwintering peas are another good variety. That's the other variety I was thinking of. So there you go. That's another really good variety. Now, Turbo Stream has been sharing or sent me a little video of his allotment tour. So let's have a quick look at that, and then we'll come back and carry it on.
Hello, Richard. It's Adrian, aka Turbo Stream. I thought I'd do a quick plot tour for you. So this is the allotment. You can see the shed there. We've got 4 squares marked in white. So we'll start with this section here. That's the row of spuds. I can't remember the name. I think the second earlies. And then next to them, I've got 2 rows of parsnips, direct sown. And then this is the wildlife stroke weed area. The mistake I made here was to put cow manure on, and that's the result. Having said that, there's some quite nice poppies come up. And there's this small bed is leeks. See, not too bad. There's some calendula growing in between, but I've left that to try and increase the wildlife. And then we come up to the another little square there. I see the onions. These are fairly late to be sowed, so I'm hoping they'll bulb up. And then just over there we've got a few bits of beetroot. And at the end there's another area of flowers. And then coming on to the next square, we've got my broad beans, which were attacked by a black fly. I managed to kill most of them off with the soap, talked about last week. And then in this little square, you'll see on this plot I've divided the 4 squares into sections. So I've got Brussels sprouts, carrots. Then I've got some cauliflower, and there's a cabbage and a bit of kale in there. And then behind there I've got French beans and runner beans. And then down here there's some onion sets, which most of them have gone to seed. You can see there the seeds forming. This area is strawberries. And then there's by the shed, in front of the shed, there's a flower border. And again, I've let this grow wild really, because simply I haven't got enough time to do the whole plot. So hopefully this will become a flower bed in time with some perennials. This is given mostly to calendulas. I've got a tarpaulin there, which I don't like to use, but I'd put that down just to save a bit of. I never really got around to do anything with that, so that will come up in the autumn. And then we've got some self-sown foxgloves. There's lots of poppies there. Some oxide daisies. There's a few shrubs at the front. This is very much a work in progress, this part. And then this square was the brassicas last year. So I've let my neighbour Liz on the plot, just over there. She's putting a few, I think she's put squash plants in there. So this week I've been mulching it with the leaves. We've had a load of leaves dropped off by the council. And then I've got some things going to seed. I'm letting these seed. That was kale. And there's a swede there. So this area I'm not hoping not to have to touch. Then we've got a row of autumn fruiting raspberries that my friend put in there. And this is a bit of a mess. I need to do something about this area. This is the rhubarb, which I'll tidy up this autumn when it's all finished. We've got gooseberries. Again, these need cutting back. We've got the water butts in the shed. There's my bike. Bit of a shame for me really, this plot, because my friend, who it's actually his plot at the moment, has unfortunately got lung cancer. So he's basically given me the plot with all his tools, all his shed and everything that you can see. Lovely evening here. Anyway, it's back to Richard. This was Turbo Stream.
It caught me slightly there. I can't hear what's being said, so I don't know when the end's coming up. So they caught me slightly there. What a lovely video. What a lovely video indeed. And this is fantastic. Got one more video to show you that came in as well. There was hopefully going to be another one, which unfortunately didn't come in time. But you know what? Get your videos out. You never know. Next week, we could have more videos of your plot on there. So what I kind of like doing this is it's showing off everyone else's video. And that I saw somebody say, where was it? Where I saw I've lost it. I've lost the comment, but I saw somebody say it's so nice. There it is. So nice seeing everybody's plot. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what I love with these live shows and the way I've set them up. I can show off anybody's videos. Anyway, so Amanda was jealous of the parsnips. Hers won't grow. And Graham's came in with, were they fresh seed, Amanda? Parsnips don't germinate well if old seed. And that's also true. I know that these seeds would be... I think if it's a seeds Amanda, or I sent Amanda, my one's germinated, so I don't think they're old seeds at all. What I found with parsnips is that you've got to sow them. If you're on a clay soil like I've got to sow them quite thickly so that they all can come up and break through the surface, and then you have to thin them out. If you sow them too thinly, I find that they can't push through the soil very well. So that's what I found anyway on this, but I'm on incredibly hard clay soil. Turbo Streamer has said, I save parsnip seeds and sow them next year just to keep fresh seeds. That's a great idea, actually. Something I'm going to talk about or ask you guys about is saving seed in the future. Anybody does it. So get your seed saving tips ready for a future live show. Andrew is saying, damn, that's a fantastic allotment. I planted 7 rows of parsnips, 3 types, but not a single one appeared. Well done, Toby Stream. Really impressed. And Money Boots is also saying, nice plot and site, Adrian. There you go. Fantastic. There was, what else have we got? Richard Lewis. Oh, the great things about having an allotment was being able to wander around all the other plot sites on the site. Got so many ideas from other plot holders. That's so true. It's so true. Something I do, something I often do is walk around my site, but I know many of the others will actually walk their dogs around our allotment site and also knows and see what everyone else is doing. And I think sometimes they get ideas such as if somebody's put their tomato plants out, they might go and do the same. So yeah, Bally City is saying, yes, need to learn how to save seed. So there we go. That's a subject we will cover in the future then. If anybody's got any videos or tips and tricks, photos, anything like that on seed saving, then you know where, or send them to me. So Amanda is saying would 100% recommend the monthly pack as a seed supporter club. That was to Rebecca was mentioning earlier, and she's gone on. It helped me to try new things and always have something to sow. Such a treat to have a nice parcel in the month as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't talk about it much on here. It's more for my audio podcast, but it's something that I want to stay independent with the podcast. I don't want sponsors. I don't want anything like that. I want to stay independent. And so, but I don't believe in just asking for viewers or listeners to give me money and not give anything in return. I wanted to do it in a way that I felt happy that I was giving something back. And that's why I came up with the Seed Supporters Club. Like I say, you get a monthly gift pack of about 6 different packs of seeds, behind the scenes podcasts that go on. And yeah, I like it. I'm happy with it, and I only charge £5 a month, which I think the seeds alone are worth more than that. And we're going to be adding new features in the future to try and make it even more value for money. Ballycillian, unfortunately, there we go. Have you any tips on growing red onions? I grow them pretty much the same way as I grow my white onions. They're in the same bed. I tend to grow them from sets, put the sets in the ground at the same time. I give them the same feed, a bit of grow more every now and then. Try and keep them weed free. The bed's prepared beforehand with plenty of compost in it or well rotted manure. Keep them well moist, not wet but moist. Same as onions, really. They are definitely smaller, though. They are definitely smaller, but I think that is just one of the features of red onions compared to any of the others. What else have we got? So Turbo Stream says, I sow parsnips thickly and thin out. I also watered the drill and sowed slightly deeper this year. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of thought as well. Sow them thick. They seem to be able to push through and then get a better start. But Stuart Jackson has said this tip many times as well. It's he sows into paper pots. Put the seed in a paper pot of compost and then just put that whole thing in the ground once they've germinated. It works well. So how do I Rebecca's asking how to sign up. Go to the veggrowerpodcast.co.uk and in the shop that we have there's a function for becoming a site supporter member, or along the top there's another button for becoming a site supporting as a supporter member. That's the veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. Durka, winter. Last week's heat damage is just starting to show. Good evening, everyone. So Durka is in British Columbia, Canada. And if anybody's heard the news, over in that part of the world, they've had a horrendous heat wave. 40 degrees C, I believe we were reaching in places, which that's just too hot. So, yeah, a lot of things going on with that. Toby Stream, saved my broad bean seeds last year. This plus the parsnips, hoping to save seeds from the Swede this year too. Yeah, I mean, I've saved broad beans in the past as well. Broad beans quite easy to save, but we'll go into this in that future podcast when it comes up to it. Graham is saying that Muddy Boots' garlic looked great. It did look great, didn't it? Was there any secret thing that you did to it, Nigel, or would you not reveal that on the show? By the way, if anybody wants to call it in, it is 0730. No, let me start that again. If anybody wants to call in, it's 07307 135 174. Or if you want to zap yourself in, hoping that link is correct, I've put the link in the comments for you to click on and join. What else? So Stuart Jackson, I grew red onion sets at home and at school. Both did very well. I only added a handful of chicken pellets to both beds. Not a bad size. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can say there's any secret to growing red onions. They're not as big as white onions, I will say that. They're definitely not as big, but they're as big as what you would get from a supermarket, which is more than what I'm happy with. Although I think, to be fair, I think this year, for me certainly, it's been a bad year for onions. They're okay, they're just not great. And Turbo Stream needs tips on onions too, so we'll go through that. And Digwell's just signed up. Oh, thank you. I'll get a notification about that to you, and I'll get your seeds in the post to you tomorrow. So should be with you pretty soon. Thank you. Right, I've got another video coming, and this one has came in from Stephen, who's just along the coast from me, and I've visited his allotment a couple of times on my podcast. So let's have a quick look at this one. Wasn't it a fantastic little video as well? This came from Stephen. I got that the other day. I was absolutely pleased with it. I remember I went to his garden last year, and this was he had his allotment, but with lockdown and everything, he started growing more stuff at home and converted his little garden into a big vegetable patch. And that's what we saw there. Look, it was looking fantastic, wasn't it? And it's a really nice arty little video. I really liked that one. As Turbo Streams also said, nice arty video, good crops too. Fantastic. Absolutely love seeing little things like that. It just shows how clever people can be out there. So yeah, please do call in 07307 07307 135 174. The number is going across the bottom of the screen, or you can zap yourself in and appear on the screen on the link that is going up now. So, Money Boots, I plant my garlic late October, early November to make sure they get a good cold spell. Ground has been manured the year before with a top dressing of superphosphate a few weeks before planting the cloves. So there you go. That's Nigel's secret. Now, I always try and mulch my beds with a good layer of compost before planting, and I add some garlic fertilizer that I get from the garlic farm. And as you will know, I did an experiment this year where I've grown my overwintered garlic that was sown October last year, and then I sowed some in, was it March, April time, a lot later than we should. And those, the spring sown ones are still growing, so I've not removed them yet. But what I'm expecting to see is much smaller bulb and not so many cloves with the spring sown ones. The overwintering, I'm expecting, well, I know they're all good because I harvested those up today. I've just left the others in for a bit longer. It's 2 great videos tonight. I must pull. Now, there's been 3 great videos tonight, and then the next thing we've got is the photos, as always. Copycat. So Digwell does exactly the same. Yeah. And more rust on the spring sown garlic. Yeah, I normally get rust on my garlic pretty bad. This year, I seem to have escaped it. Although my spring sown one, funny you say that, I noticed it today, definitely a lot more rust on it than any of the others. There we go. There we go. That feels a lot better. So back to the main question that we were asking today, in order to help, I think it was Amanda and Man on Out, what to sow now to get us through the winter. And I think the general thing we're looking at is cabbages and cauliflowers, certainly the brassicas. I'm just remembering last year I planted out some beetroot, and that grew right throughout the winter as well. I was harvesting the beetroot in February. Here we go. We've got a phone call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from? Hello? Hello? Am I plugged in? Are you there?
Hello, Richard.
Hello. How are you doing?
It's Cornwall calling.
Oh, hello in Cornwall. How are you?
Yeah, I arrived tail end this week and came to major growth in the garden. So,
Right. Could you speak a little louder? You couldn't quite hear you there.
sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
So I'm having trouble hearing you too, weirdly. What's going on?
Is that any better?
Hang on. Can everybody else hear them? Okay.
That's better.
Oh, okay. We'll try that now. No, you've gone.
I haven't gone. I'm still here.
Oh, you're still there. I can hear you now.
Oh, great. Yeah, as I was saying, arrived tail end of this week to very lush growth in the veg garden. There's some veg beds in. If you can find them.
So you're basically now clearing out. This is Nui 99, by the way, to everyone. So you're basically now got to clear out the entire bed to try and get it ready for you to grow.
I've got stuff in, so I've got garlic in, beetroot in, broad beans in, onions in. So I've got some stuff in. Some of it's gone to seed, but that's fine. The radishes have gone to seed. They're quite nice and crunchy, as you know, just to munch on.
Yeah.
The seed head. And I've got 16 tomato plants to get in the polytunnel.
Wow. How are you finding the move, or are you looking forward to having it? Because you've got quite a few acres now, if I remember correctly.
I've got 3.5 acres.
Wow.
And I've got 2 manure machines. So yeah, I've got 2 shy horses here. And chickens, so.
Well, could you set the shy horses loose on the beds to get the weeds down, the grass down?
They trash everything, the bedwood, the plants that are growing there. So, and it's too small an area for them, you know. They need acres to roaming.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll get there. I'll just do a bed at a time and maybe get some late crops in, a bit of brassica if I can. You know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'd like to try and get something in, so I've got something ready for over winter, spring.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is what we're discussing tonight: what we can sow now and get us through the winter. So, cabbages, cauliflowers, kale. There's plenty of options still, isn't there?
Yeah, I've just got to make the ground clear to put it in. I will be doing some more raised beds. Obviously, no dig Charles Dowding method, but with wood sides. So from that point of view, I've bought a load of pallet collars, which I've stained and I'm going to line with plastic.
Yeah.
So I've got some easy gardening in that respect. I've just got to fault the mushroom composting that I've got. But the stuff that's already down, nature's taken care of that and covered it well. So I'll just have to fight back.
Yeah. You have to send us some pictures and show us what you've started with and what you end up with.
Yeah, of course. I'll try and do a little video if I can. The phone's not very good at the moment. It's had a few accidents with concrete floors. But yeah, it's nice being down here and knowing I've got no mortgage either. So that's a novelty.
Well, you're making me more and more jealous. I mean, 3.5 acres was enough to make me jealous, as Stuart Jackson has said, but no mortgage as well. That's even better.
Well, I'm doing a small campsite on part of the field, so I'm going to do a bit of wild camping.
Oh, yeah.
and then develop it over the next few years coming and have proper, maybe glamping tents or pods, but just a small one, sort of 10 pitches. So a bit of income to carry me through the winter.
Yeah. Well, why not? Why not,
Right.
indeed?
And they can buy my surplus beds as well.
Yeah, funny enough, we're looking for somewhere like that to do our little get together one day. So that might be something that we may have to talk to you about.
You're very welcome. I've got other people coming down from YouTube that are visiting in the summer.
There we
I've
go.
got Guru Mafinda, Tony, do you know him?
Yes, yeah.
I've got him and his family with all his little offspring coming down for a long weekend, I think. So that'll be nice. It's nice to meet the people that you see on Tube or talk to. So
Definitely.
anyway, I love you and leave you now and carry on watching.
Yeah.
And thoroughly enjoying the show as normal.
Yeah, lovely to hear from you as always. You take care.
Yeah, bye-bye, Richard.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Well, there we go. That was Louis 99 from Cornwall. Just moved down to Cornwall. And yeah, as Stuart said, 3.5 acres. Yeah, very, very jealous about that. Like I said a couple of weeks ago with the wasteful thing, the old nursery that we found another one. We found another nursery. Not so wasteful, this one, but still can't afford it, but certainly more in the realms of the money that we could afford. And it's about 3.5 acres on that plan. But it's a dream. It's a dream. Now, Graham Arnold has planted out mini cole cabbages and triumphant cauliflowers sprouting broccoli next weekend. Yeah, sprouting broccoli. If you can get, it's a bit late to sow sprouting broccoli. It's for the I think it was Amanda who was asking about what to sow now. It's a bit late to sow sprouting broccoli, but certainly can still buy it from a garden centre and get it in the ground and grow. Shall we have a look at some of the photos that have came in? I've just realised I've left my notes indoors, so I'm going to have to do this entirely from memory. So let's have a quick look at these photos. No, we won't start there, nor there. We'll come back to that and that. Now, hang on. It's gone all wrong. It's all gone wrong again. All gone wrong again. That's not. It's meant to reset itself, but it didn't. So let me get it up to where we start. So this came in from Manon, sorry. And this little squirrel has been stealing her strawberries from her strawberry bed. Cute little fellow, isn't he? But now he's looking at stealing strawberries from inside their house, the little. This came in from Amanda. Amanda sent me a lot of photos. Unfortunately, I couldn't get hold of them all for some reason. It wouldn't let me download them. But she was waiting for her strawberries to develop before a neighbour realised or told her they were alpine strawberries, as you can see in this photo. And here she is taking a relaxing time on the allotment after working hard with a bounty and a good Kindle. And I think actually that's quite an important thing to do on an allotment or garden. Make the most of just enjoying our time that we have there. Stuart shared this picture of his lettuce, and I can see it's from the Veg Grower Podcast Supporters Club, and because I can see the label, nice crisp iceberg lettuce. And here's the seeds that he received this month. Good collection, I think, and a book, The New Vegetable and Herb Expert. A couple of months ago, we sent out some asparagus pea, and he harvested his first asparagus pea. There's a few people about the flavour of asparagus pea, so if anybody's eaten asparagus pea before, let me know what you thought of it. Charlotte from Guernsey has shared this picture that she's picked for her lunch. How delicious does this all look? Got some calabrese, some marrow, some cucumbers, and some chard leaves. Looks absolutely delicious. And Ian Beddoes has shared this picture of his peas that he has grown in hanging baskets. And they're there so the kids can't, his grandkids can stop stealing his peas. And I think, yeah, that's it. At that height, I think they're going to work at keeping the kids off the peas. If it's not squirrels, it's grandkids stealing your veg. Digwell is saying they are pine berries. I thought that as well at first when I saw them being white. But my pine berries are white. They've got a slight hint of pineapple, but they grow about the same size as an ordinary strawberry. So that made me think perhaps they are alpine strawberries. I guess the thing to ask Amanda, who shared that picture, what did they taste like? Did they taste like strawberries or did they taste slightly like pineapple? Digwell's, and this is why I asked this question. I tasted the asparagus pea, then ripped the whole plant out. Enough said. See, I quite like the taste of asparagus pea myself, but each their own. Each their own. I remember a bit of a new thing to grow asparagus pea. There's a big not resurgent, big interest in asparagus pea and growing it and eating it. A bit like kook melons a few years ago, but the kook melons, I felt, I grew them, I ate them, and they were a bit like, well, what's the point? And never grew them again. So it's possibly the same with the asparagus pea. Who knows? Who knows? Now, Amanda has said they did have a hint of pineapple, actually, so they could well be pine berries, not strawberries, and that would explain the white color, although I suppose there might be some varieties of pine berries that are small. Who knows? But that's a great thing. And typical, I said I did like cucamelons. Digwell comes out and says he loves cucamelons. Well, there you go. That's different flavor, different people's different tastes. I can't say I tasted any melon in them. Can't say I tasted any cucumber in them. I basically was not that impressed with cucamelons, but they had a real surge of interest at the time, and everybody was saying they're growing them. They grew well as a plant. They grew well. Same as, do you remember? Oh, going back 6-7 years ago, there was a real sudden interest in tomatillos. Grew those as well, and they grew really well, and they were quite tasty. But not everybody liked them. But I found tomatillos to be quite useful. But there again, we eat a lot of Mexican food in our house, so we do quite like tomatillos. Digwell does say all strawberries and pine berries grow big or small. So, yeah, I wondered if they do like a pineberry that comes in alpine form. That's what I was wondering, because they looked about the size of alpine. Well, why did you say that? Alpine strawberries are probably quite a bit smaller, thinking about it. But yeah, I think I'm with Digwell on this one. I think they're pineberries on that photo, Amanda. So there you go. Graham, cucamelons, yeah, that's how I felt. They were, I wouldn't say they were yuck, they just didn't taste of anything. I was a bit disappointed with them. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one. But yeah, we have these times in this industry where all of a sudden the latest fads come into play and people are more excited about growing this or that. And I sometimes wonder if it's the marketing side of things that gets people more and more interested in it, but I'm not always a believer in it. Like I said, cucamelons seem to have a surge of interest. Tomatillos had a surge of interest. Asparagus pea had a surge of interest. I don't think there's been so much in the last couple of years, but I'm sure next year there will be something that comes around that all of a sudden everybody is saying is the next big thing. A superfood, if you like. People are going to grow it because of its health benefits and what have you. And actually, we ended up growing it and being a little disappointed with it. Let me take this off. Anyway, right. I'm going to zap yourself in if you would like to appear on screen. The comment is in, or the link is in the comments. Unless you're watching in the Facebook group, comments don't go in there the way Facebook works. On that note as well, while I remember, otherwise I get told off from both YouTube and Facebook, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow, and don't forget to click the bell or whatever notification it is to get notified when I go live. I've got to say that, otherwise I get told off by YouTube and Facebook. They send me emails if I don't sow it. How they know, I do not know, but somehow they know if I don't say anything. So Stuart Jackson, I always remember asking what I should grow. I was told to only grow what you like and it will save waste. That is absolutely very true. Certainly when as a beginner or a new gardener, only grow what you eat. That is very, very true. But there's also the chance to try and experiment with different things. So, for example, we've got a loganberry bush. It's either loganberry or tayberry bush. I can't remember which one it is. You cannot really buy those in the shop. So how do you know you're going to like them or not? We grow it. We love the fruit, and it's produced a lot of fruit this year. If you don't try it, don't grow it, how do you know you don't like it? But the point about only growing what you like is very, very true. It doesn't waste space, doesn't waste your time, etc., etc. But at the same time, it's worth experimenting with some different things and just seeing what you like and what you don't like. That's my take on it. That's my take of it, and plenty are allowed to say different. Ian Bennett said, might try cabbage this year. What's a good one to go with? It depends when you're going to be looking to sow them, Ian. I mean, my first thought was something like Greyhound or Durham Early. But if you're looking to grow or sow them around now or even next month, then you're going to be looking at a spring cabbage. Durham Early actually falls into that. Just a few ideas. Let's put it out there to everyone else. Any idea on some good varieties of cabbage to sow throughout this year that anybody else is growing? Digwell saying, a bit like all those fancy brassicas, Caellett's and Brock Isle. Yeah, absolutely. They became all of a sudden a real interesting thing for people to try and grow. And I mean, Caellett's, they were like little Brussels sprouts on a kale plant, but they weren't sprouts, they were like kale leaves. And I could take them or leave them again, but they were worth experimenting with. Excuse me. Turbo Stream says they are watching. They must be watching. There we go. That feels better. Excuse me. Sorry. YouTube and Facebook must be watching to know I don't mention those things. Ian Meadows, I like mint, but have so much this year, even though it's in a Belfast sink. Well, what I try and do with mint is cut it down before it flowers so that it will regrow again. It's probably about the time. You only cut half of it down, half of your Belfast sink, if you like. Cut that down now. You can use the mint, obviously, or freeze it, dry it, whatever that you've cut down. But what that'll do is that'll regrow and respawn, if you like. And then you can cut the other half down in a few weeks' time when that's all regrowing. And that way, you won't get any flowering mint, and it helps control it a bit better. That's worth a shot. I think. Turbo Stream didn't grow cabbages as I don't like it. I experimented with Caellett's this year. I suppose it's a bit too early for you to find out just how Caellett's are. I wasn't that impressed with them, in all honesty. I felt they were just lacking something. Digwell's got to go a Chinese meal to cook. Lucky you, lucky you. I've got to go sort some dinner out after our failure with the chicken. I take full responsibility in case Amanda is watching. Graham Arnold, January King and Mini Cole grow and store well for autumn into winter. Yeah, January King is actually another one I should have mentioned. Definite good one. Mini Cole, I've not tried myself, but I take Graham's word on that. That sounds like good choices, Ian. January King and Mini Cole. Turbo Stream. I'm going to try and sow the broad beans for the tips over winter with a small spinach replacement. I aim to snip the tops off regularly. I find with broad beans that when you grow them over winter, they grow very, very slowly and don't really get that tool to nip the tips off. But I guess if you're growing them specifically for the tips, then why not? Why not indeed? Now, I just had another idea if Amanda is still watching of something that we can sow now to grow throughout the winter, and that's Swiss chard or perpetual spinach. That also grows quite well. I've grown it right throughout the winter very successfully. Gives us some nice little leaves. Can go a bolt in the summer when it gets a little bit hot, but sow it now and it should give you a few nice little leafy greens to have throughout the winter months as well. Excuse me. Ian Meadows, how should I dry it out? Only turned it into a mint sauce before. Okay, so what you can do, take your bunch of mint, wrap some string around it and hang it up in a dark, cool shed, and it should dry out until it's quite nice dry, and you can almost store it into jars like that. You could dry it in some like a greenhouse or in a bench in the sun, but what I found with that is that it loses its color. It tends to go gray, so I found that putting it somewhere dark seems to keep its greenness and just feels like it looks a bit more appetizing when you use it. That's to dry it, and that works fantastically well. I do that quite often actually with a lot of my herbs, just dry them and then put them into jars in our cupboard. The other thing that we could do is actually freeze the mint. So what I'll do is I'll take off the leaves from the stalks, get rid of the stalks, don't need those, and chop up the mint leaves nice and small, and then pop them into ice cube trays with a bit of water, and then pop those in the freezer. Then when I want some mint, I just pop out an ice cube of mint, pop that into your cooking. There you go. That's also good for mint sauce as well, actually. If you want to make fresh mint sauce, as fresh as you can get it throughout the winter, just pop it out of your ice cube and off it goes. Turbo Stream says, don't forget you can eat the beetroot leaves as a green for salads and stir fries. That's another one you can grow over the winter. And Amanda is saying, thanks for all the suggestions. I've got a big list now. I got the good news today that I've got the plot next to mine as of now, as my neighbour is moving on, so I have lots of space to fill. Well, there you go. I think I meant to say this in the email she sent me earlier. 1.5 plots she has now, Amanda does, and that's a lot of work to try and do. But at the same time, fantastic to try and fill up with food and get growing all year round. Turbo Stream also says you can dry it out in a low temp oven. You can dry mint out in a low temp oven. What you want to do is pop the oven on its lowest setting, as low as it will go, pop the door open, and then just put your mint on a rack at the top and just leave that for a couple of hours to dry out. It's quick and it does retain the color a bit better, but for me, it's a bit of a waste of energy when the sun is providing us heat anyway. It just takes a little bit longer to dry it in the sun. Anybody else got any tips on how to dry mint or anything like that? Let us know in the comments, or zap yourself in on the link going up in the comments right now, or you can call in on 07307 135 174. We're going to go for about another just over 10 minutes before we close down today. This gives me a chance. What have we got coming up on the podcast this week? We have what we can grow and sow throughout July, which is tied in quite nicely with what we're talking about tonight. A lot of talking about winter veg and preparing for the winter. And then we're going to have what we can do throughout July as well. So a list of jobs, it's going to be a busy one: harvesting, watering, keeping on top of the weeds. That's coming out on the podcast on Monday night, as always. Don't forget, if you want to ask a question to go onto the podcast, you can head to the veggrowpodcast.co.uk and leave a voicemail. I love doing the voicemails. I love getting those, not just questions, tips or tricks. I just love getting those different voices come in on the podcast just to add a different dimension to it. So please do. I haven't had any for a couple of weeks now, if I remember correctly. So please do get those. If you want a question on the podcast or a tip and a trick or something like that, even and just a bit of conversation, please do throw that in there and make the most of it. Turbo Stream is saying, can you string mint like you do with lavender to dry it out? Yeah, exactly like you do with lavender. I string it up, like I said, string it up and hang it in my shed, which doesn't, unless you open a door, it doesn't let any light in. Not this shed, although I could probably do it in this shed because it is, I don't have windows on this shed purely because I want to control the light. But in this shed, yeah, I could certainly dry it. I'll just hang it up. It'll dry out in probably 2-3 days, depending on the weather. At the moment, it's quite because of all the rain we're having, it's quite humid, so it's taken a little bit longer to dry anything out. But yeah, lavender is actually another one we can dry out. I only grow the culinary lavender, so we can use that in cooking. Quite why you want to use it in cooking is probably not most people's ideas of what you can do with it. But actually, we've got this recipe for lavender chicken, which actually turns out to be really nice. Most people think of lavender using it for potpourris and smelling stuff and hanging around, and it looks pretty as well, yeah, if that's your type of thing. Rosemary is another one we can also string up and dry. I've cut down my rosemary bush that I had down here recently, which is getting a bit woody. It was big. Rosemary was big. I couldn't fit my arm around it. The scent was getting very, very woody, so I cut it down. We'll see, seeing if it's going to grow back. I don't think it will. But that's not a problem because I've got rosemary plants in other areas that I've taken cuttings from in order to keep it going. In fact, that's another thing. I think this started off with talking about mint, and mint. You don't really need to take cuttings in order to propagate more from, do you? Just dig a bit of a root out, pot it into a pot, and it'll grow. Or you could pot a sprig of mint into a glass of water and it'll grow roots and can be potted up again like that. But rosemary, lavender, all those sort of things, I love taking cuttings from and getting more and more plants from them. I quite often do that over the winter months when we've got less to do, but actually I think I'm going to do some this week just because I feel the need for doing something like that, taking cuttings, get a few more plants on the go, which, I've always got room for more plants, especially herb plants. There's always somewhere that they can go, even if they stay in a pot and just go on the allotment to hold down some weed suppressing membrane or something. That's my thoughts anyway. That's certainly my thoughts. This talking to myself is interesting how the conversation goes sometimes when I start chatting about this. Actually, that's something else. I mentioned this on the Supporters Club podcast on Thursday. I'm not really worried too much about my front garden as of lately. It's been just somewhere that I don't really, well, we cleared the weeds out yesterday and trimmed the hedges, but I don't really grow anything per se. It's generally there for our vehicles to park. But my wife and I have been considering on what we need to do with our front garden. We eventually want to get a whole new driveway down, laid, looking nice and good. We have our cars parked on there most of the time. We've got, well, our car, my wife's car, my van, they're parked on there most of the time. But we're thinking we're going to rip everything out the front, get a whole new driveway relaid, and then we're going to have pots of some edible bushes such red currants, black currants, gooseberry bushes, perhaps some apple trees in pots, dwarf apple trees. Going to get those on the front driveway just to continue on with this whole edible gardening that we tend to do here. It's not big enough to turn into a vegetable patch, or if we didn't have two cars, if we only had the one vehicle, then perhaps we could. But on a whole, it's not big enough to turn into a vegetable patch on a front garden. But has anybody actually done that out there, turned their front garden into a vegetable patch or an edible garden that they've used? I've heard a lot of people talk about this in the past when they've done it, and it's became a lot more of a social enterprise, a lot more talking to the neighbours as they go past because they're gardening their front garden. A bit like an allotment, I guess. People walk past and you have a conversation while you're working away. And I guess that's the same with a front garden. Now, on that note, somebody in the Facebook group, I'm guessing this is Rebecca again, I have because it's sunny on my front garden. That's exactly, funny enough, where I've been thinking about this. Our garden's faced east to west, so our back garden gets most of the light in the first half of the day. And then as the sun moves around to the front of the house in the later half of the day, I'm thinking there it can use, yeah, I thought it was Rebecca, as it moves around to the front of the garden, I'm thinking it can then use some of that sunlight in the second half of the day to basically grow some more of our edible treats. And I'm still thinking, like I say, currant bushes. What else? Apple trees, gooseberry bushes, generally leading to the bigger things that can live in a plot so we can move the pot around. Although I might do like Stuart does as well and sell some plants out the front. All things to think about, isn't it? I've mixed flowers and veg together. I love it. Yeah. You've almost got like a potager there. I do love a good potager because I think it just goes to show what you can do in these gardens. Turbo Street, my favourite programme as a kid was The Good Life. They grew veggies on the front garden. Yeah, I loved The Good Life. One of my favourite comedies from that time. And even now when it's on rerun, I've still got to watch it. I did during lockdown last year, did a little bit of I took it on a serious note where I spoke about my thoughts on how they were living a good life and what I thought they did wrong, what they did right. That podcast went down really, really well, but I did love The Good Life and the way they lived the life. I wouldn't give up. I mean, they had their mortgage paid off, but I wouldn't give up work like he did overnight. But yeah, I love that way of life. Ballycillian is also remembering that. Great show, wasn't it? Great show. I'd love to see that show brought back in the modern day in some ways. I don't know if that's going to be any good or if that's not. You know how they remake certain films and certain comedies from that are never as good as the classics? Would that be one of those? Don't know. It's actually a good idea to plant fruit bushes in your front garden. But yeah, this is what I'm thinking. I mean, I've always wanted to do it in the houses I've lived in. I just never really got round to doing it. Whereas, excuse me, yesterday we spent hours clearing out the weeds and trimming the hedges. I mean, the privet hedges that we have out there are just, they're a lot of work. A bit like the ivy we used to have. They're a lot of work just to keep them trained and trim and looking nice. But they don't really do anything for us apart from screen off when people walk past. I'd sooner grow something that's going to give us something in return, such as growing our own fruits and vegetables and herbs, or growing our, I forgot what I was going to say, or growing something pretty to look at. Privet is just a bit, I think, dull, isn't it? It's a good hedging, but it's just a bit dull, just there. Anyway, right, we're coming to the end of the show tonight, so thank you so much everyone to joining me. I think we've helped Amanda out with what to sow over the winter, or what to sow now to get grown for the winter. Lots of good ideas coming in from that. We've had a great number of videos, so thank you to Ernie for your video. Thank you to Turbo Stream, Adrian, for your video. And thank you to Stephen, Plot 110, Sussex, for your video as well. Thank you to Amanda for the photo. Thank you to Manon for your photo as well. Love that little squirrel. Who else? Thank you to Stuart for your photos. Thank you to Ian for your photos. And thank you to Charlotte for your photos as well. We'll be back again next Sunday, and what we're going to chat about seed saving. We're going to do that next week, so please do get your ideas for seed saving in, and share. If you've got any videos, then send them to me via WeTransfer. Go to WeTransfer.com, enter my email, which is richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. Upload your video. I'll get an email. I'll go and click on the link, and then I can download it. That just makes it easier to share videos. If you want to send a photo, you can email me, richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk, or you can put it in the Facebook group, or even on the website at theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk in our forums that we have there. I think that just about covers everything. Thanks so much to everyone that's joined the Supporters Club and the interest in that. We'll be back, like I say, Monday on the main podcast, and next Sunday for another Podding Shed chat. Until then, please take care and all the best. And yet again, thank you for joining me. Let's find the button.